Welcome back to Area DMG. I'm your host, Phil Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and for today's episode of Suki Nihon, Animation is Art, we're reviewing the first episode of the 2016 Berserk series. Let me give you a little bit of history about this series. This is the original series. This is the digitally remastered version of this series. It was 25 episodes, 6 DVDs of bloody good fun. It's about a character named Guts who lives in essentially like a Dark Ages kind of world with, castles and kings and queens and horrifying demons and eldritch horrors of pretty much horrible things live in this world. So it's kind of like Game of Thrones in a way, where you have monsters and demons and zombies and all sorts of horrifying violence and things. The original series is fantastic. Guts runs around with a sword that would make cloud strife. Yeah, is it Cloud Strife? I always forget his name. I always think it's something similar to... It's Cloud Strife, yeah. That would make Cloud Strife just buckle under. Because Cloud doesn't really have the frame to pick up the sword that Guts has. So, yeah. In a fight, Guts would win. Guts for smash. But yeah, seriously. He's missing an arm. He's like the Black Swordsman. He's missing an arm. He's got like an arm cannon type thing in there that shoots like spikes and things. And he got a giant sword, which he uses to hack things to death. And it's awesome. And the show is more like, I guess I could say it's kind of the Game of Thrones of anime. But anyways, this is the second attempt at getting this manga series onto the screen. Now, what's fun about this one, though, is that after Berserk ended with such... Okay, it covers the entire Golden Age arc in the comics. And it ends on a terrible, terrible, awful cliffhanger. Just awful. And I mean, there's a little post-credit sequence which shows, oh yeah, they got out of this situation and he's walking out to get revenge or whatnot. But it ends on such a down note. We're talking Empire Strikes Back, kind of down and out. Second season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Just so. And this show came out in 1997, right? So I've been waiting for some kind of resolution or new series for literally decades, okay? So when they announced that they were going to do those movies, I was like, oh man, the CGI they're using, it's kind of a bit rough. And then they did that. They did just the whole Golden Age arc, and it ended the movie sequences right where we were to begin with. At the end of the Golden Age arc, on that horrible cliffhanger. But this series, Episode 1, The Branded Swordsman, is the Black Swordsman arc, which means that this takes place a couple months, maybe years, after the end of the Golden Age arc. So, finally, we're getting 24 episodes of continuation of a series that just... If you haven't seen Berserk, I actually do suggest checking out the 3 movies. They're available on DVD and Blu-ray. I think some of them are actually on Hulu. They might be on Hulu, and they might be on Crunchyroll, or they might also be on Netflix. I have to check and see which one of those they're on. I do know that they are on Amazon Instant, I think, and I think you can probably buy them on iTunes, but I'm not sure. But yeah, they're this is finally new content. And because, seriously, the guy that writes this manga is kind of worse than J.R.R. Martin about deadlines. So who knows, maybe if this does well, they'll do another series of episodes, do more arcs, and they'll eventually catch up to the comics and surpass it. And that's the best case scenario. And this actually goes live to people who are not premium subscribers to Crunchyroll very soon. So very soon you'll be able to see this episode for free on Crunchyroll, as well you should, okay? Please go do that. Please support this. Please, because, oh my gosh, this first episode, I was a little... Okay, let's talk about this episode. Let me tell you about the art style. I prefer the old animated art style to this new CGI art style, where it's CGI, but it's shaded in a way to try and make it look similar to the comics, kind of what they did with the Appleseed CGI movies. Problem with that is that it makes me think of the stuff in Blue Submarine #6. Remember the CGI in that and other Sunrise shows where you're just like, yeah, it's CGI, and it's just kind of... This has that problem. I mean, a lot of times when action sequences feel like they don't have a lot of weight. They feel like they should bring the camera back because it's way too close. Because what they're really in love with is close-ups of Guts' face, just like doing that when he's swinging his massive sword. And what you really want to be seeing is the impact that sword is causing. You want to see it ripping through other things. And it does a good amount of that here, actually. This episode, after you see a little bit of a sequence showing out newer characters, including Puck, who wasn't in the original series and hasn't really shown up in the 3 movie stuff, you see Puck, you see a bunch of these other characters, and you're like, oh, they're trying to be more accurate to the manga. Yes. Kind of similar to what happened between Hellsing TV and Hellsing Ultimate, whereas Hellsing Ultimate is straight up the manga, and that's so good. Because what you want kind of is, you kind of wish there was a Walking Dead TV and then a Walking Dead OVA stuff where you got the actors that look the part perfectly, just being completely comic accurate. Because we want comic accuracy on some of these things. It's not always necessary, but it feels good when it is. When you go out and you watch a movie a movie that takes a book as its basis, and it follows the book, and all those pictures that you had of what happened in the book in your mind are shown to you on the screen, and it just validates everything you felt about it. Like, the first 3 Harry Potter movies were kind of like that. Then after that, it just got bad, and I didn't really like it that much. In fact, they started leaving out way too much stuff. The Lord of the Rings ones were good because they followed more of the book. Had stuff like the Golden Compass or A Series of Unfortunate Events followed the book better, it would have been so much better. I would love to actually have a Dark Materials trilogy, but we don't have it because they weren't accurate to the book. But this is accurate to the manga, for the most part. There is some stuff that will probably tone down because Japan is an island of censorship. They've been run for a long time by censorious people who feel that manga is a terrible blight on our civilization and the reason that we have all these social problems, and that's bad. And I worry about that. But this, so far, like the art style I said, doesn't feel like it has enough impact. But let's talk about the actual content. The opening and ending theme, forgettable. Not as good as the original series. Sorry. And the story, though? Let's get into some spoilery territory here. Sort of. I'm going to kind of spoil some things. Okay. This episode starts out in a bar sequence that's similar to the first episode of the old series. But instead of a little girl being in peril, it's Puck. I don't really like that character at all. He's got some redeeming qualities, but Puck is more like... Okay, you remember how annoying Navi is in Ocarina of Time? That's Puck. So anyways, Puck and then this little boy who I forgot his name. He's probably important in the future. I hope he's important because he'll die or something. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he gets cleaved up or something. Could happen. This is Berserk. The only character that's safe, even if he's not like horribly maimed, is Guts. Maybe Casca. Kind of. Oh gosh. Go watch that original series. Poor Ka. Yeah, just good stuff. But you should go out and watch those. I'm not going to spoil that for you because I want you to go out and seek out the original stuff. And also watch this too, because this is great on its own actually. They did a little bit of flashbacks to earlier stuff that happened, and they might mention it in passing, but this is all new content for the most part. And anyways, after that little sequence there where these brigands or whatnot are tormenting Puck and this boy, and Guts stops them, he's wandering around after that, and Puck's following him because Puck is all like, fairies have a sense of responsibility, and you're like, oh god, I want to punch that fairy right in its fairy face. Anyways, he's wandering off into the woods, and then he runs into an old monk and his daughter. There's a little bit of conversation between them, and he decides to go ahead and stick with them for a little bit. And then the nightmares arrive. The bandits that he had mentioned before, he had incurred the wrath of, I guess you could say, inside the bar. They do try and set out to kill him. That doesn't go the way they want at all, and I'm not going to spoil that. But they get dispatched in a fairly bloody, horrible way. Actually, the whole episode made me think of Evil Dead. Like, okay, you have a living tree creature and bunches of skeletons and possessed characters, and Guts swings his mighty sword, if you could call it that. It's not really a sword, it's more like a giant slab of metal, and breaks them down, crushes the things in the way, and as he's walking over the bones of his foes, he's telling Puck, hey, anyone who's not weak, who's too weak to hang with me, oh well, ants deserve to be crushed. And you do get a little bit of a flashback into what his own mentality and stuff, and you really should go and check out those 3 movies. It gives you a really great story arc. It's dramatic, and this is fantastic, and I can't wait for these to be free for you guys to check them out. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. It's gonna be every Friday, and I'm like, so good. Anyways, have you seen this episode yet? What did you think of it? I'm very excited that it's going to be closer to the manga, because the manga is really good, especially these story arcs. So I'm looking forward to that. At the end of this episode, he runs into a group of knights, which that should be interesting, especially if you read the manga. You know where they're going with this. And if it's close to the manga, like it looks like it's going to be for the most part, oh, we are in for such a good dramatic treat. And yeah, that's why you should watch it. You should definitely go out and check it out. I'm not going to go into too many spoiler things. In fact, I don't know if I could really say I do spoilers in these. I do mention spoilery things, but for the most part, I can hope that you'd be able to watch these along with me and then talk about them and find stuff to talk about in the comments. Let me know in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Please like the video, subscribe to this channel, share this channel with other people, and until the next video comes out, you are now caught up.